everybody, it's Greg again from Heck Yeah, You Can Cook. And a lot of people ask me, is like, Greg, how do you come up with these recipes? Where do you get these ideas? And to be honest with you, I just watch a lot of television shows, I read cookbooks, I watch videos on the internet, via YouTube, like from Heck Yeah, You Can Cook. And I learn some processes and have some fun. Alton Brown was a big influence on me, and this is actually an addition to one of his recipes for scallops. To kind of get it started, this is also going to be our Naughty Dog issue for this month. We're going to have our Naughty Dog beer. We've got a lager here. So when I'm just creating, I go through, I think about different things that have worked, and sometimes just grab different spices, maybe spices I've tried somewhere else. So today we're going to create something. I've got a friend coming over to taste it. It may be terrible, and this video may never air. But if it does, let's kind of go through the ingredients. These are just going to be beer glazed scallops, beer glazed seared scallops. For this today, you're going to need a shallot, and we're going to dice this, and I'm actually going to show you how finely diced I want it to be. You're going to need regular olive oil, not extra virgin, but regular olive oil. You're going to need salt, of course. You're going to need, that's your olive oil. It's going to be 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You need 2 tablespoons of butter, softened, separated. You're going to need a teaspoon of dill weed. Yes, that was an insult when I was in high school, if you called somebody dill weed. I have no idea. I'm looking at it. I don't know. But the dill weed was an insult back in my day. I got 2 smaller bay leaves. 1 big bay leaf will work. I have got a tablespoon of agave. If you cannot find agave nectar, and it's readily available in the grocery stores, you can, of course, use honey, but I prefer agave for this. I got 12 ounces here of lager from Naughty Dog Brewery. Okay, so this is a lager from them. We're using a lager today. You can use a pilsner with this recipe, I think, as well. I have got 8 ounces of shiitake mushrooms. Love shiitake mushrooms for anything like this. And then I've also got 1 pound of patted dry scallops. Okay, this is enough for probably 2 or 3 people. If you're like me and you like scallops, this may be a recipe only for 1. But if you enjoy scallops, you can always double this recipe. The glaze should be enough. And you're also going to need a large non-stick frying pan. This is my a larger one here. I think that's my 11 or 12 inch frying pan. My saucepan, so like I'm French today, we're going to make the sauce in. I'm also going to use a bunch of Swiss chard, and hopefully that works, and that's what we're going to be serving the scallops on. And of course, you're going to need a good pair of tongs when we get working with this. Now, with the shallot today, the reason I'm actually showing this is a very tight dice. Now, I'm using shallots. I like shallots for any time I'm working with seafood if possible, especially if the seafood is going to be quick. Shallots have a very, it's somewhere, I don't know, between a garlic and an onion. I'm not trained on that, and I'll probably have a thought bubble here. But I like the way they add flavor without overpowering a dish. Onions and garlic, of course, can overpower a dish rather quickly. You can find shallots if you have trouble, usually in the onion section. Sometimes you have to ask them, they sometimes get buried. We're going to dice this, which is a little bit of a finer cut. And once again, I'm going to try to concentrate, not look up at the camera, because the last thing I want to do is end up in the ER with the end of my finger on my cutting board. See how you work your blade through? You want this very finely diced. If you got a chunk where the skin didn't quite come off, it's okay. Not really a measurement thing. And what we're going to use this is actually in the glaze as part of the process that you're going to do. So I'm going to kind of show it on the camera. You may have to zoom in there. Very finely diced, okay? Run your blade through it a few times. It's past what I would call chopped, because these are going to hopefully just kind of add flavor to that. All right. The shallots, I usually go about an inch and a half up, take that off. I mean, not the shallots, there's no shallots, the Swiss chard. And then I'm going to just cut it, as you can see. You can probably see better if I move that, couldn't you? There you go. Now, you may hear in the background, I'll probably have sound over. I get classical music, jazz music in the background to help me think through the process as I'm cooking. All right. So we've got the ingredients prepped. You're gonna get rid of me. We're gonna show you the process on the stove top with close-ups, and hopefully this works. So here we go with the mad scientist part. I've heated up my saucepan, and we're gonna add some of the butter. If it sizzles too much, I'm gonna turn it down to low. Okay, I got my nice wooden spoon. Using the butter. Okay. While that butter's coming in there, we're going to add the finely diced shallot. We're going to let that cook, stirring frequently. It's a Wednesday morning. Frequently, until the shallots start to become translucent. That's a big word. You can see through them. Okay. If you see the butter start to burn, a little smoke, you want to turn it down. One thing nice about using cookware that is stainless steel is it holds its heat so well you can use a much lower temperature. But adjust according to your cookware. After they get started for just about a minute or so, I add just a tiny pinch of salt. Not much. Tiny. Itty bitty. We've been going now for a couple of, about a minute and a half. Once again, do not rush this process. And this is creative, so I'm learning on the fly with you. Remember, sometimes the most fun you have in the kitchen is when you're trying something. Just remember all the processes, and it's like many a chef and cook have said, speed is not always the best. We've gotten into that habit because we expect everything instantly, but cooking sometimes takes a little time. That's why you want to enjoy it. That's bubbling in a nice area. You see how the butter is working around the shallot. We've added a little bit of salt, and now we're going to add dill weed. I would say dill, but you know what? No one in the store has dill. It's all dill weed, so I'm using the proper term. I hope it's still not offensive. We're going to let the dill weed work in with the shallots. Like I said, this is purely creative. If it's terrible, you don't tell anybody. You've wasted a little money on the scallops. But remember the ingredients that you've had from different dishes. Dill is used in a lot of seafood. Of course, butter is fantastic to cook with seafood. And then shallots have been used in seafood. So as you've seen things, put things together. All right? And know your palate, know what smells good. Right now, I wish this was smell-o-vision. The two of those ingredients, along with the butter, are making this very nice aroma here in the kitchen. So I'm gonna let this go, and as it starts to separate in the butter, it starts to stick just like that. That's when I'm gonna add my 12 ounces of lager. 12 ounces of lager from Naughty Dog Brewer. I'm gonna add my 2 bay leaves. And then I'm going to add my tablespoon of agave. And if you don't have agave, you of course can use honey. Light pinch of salt. That was the reaction I wanted to see. We're going to increase the heat to about medium. I'm going to whisk this together. We're going to let that go and cook down, and I would say until we reduce it by 2/3. So bring it to a nice boil, not boil, I guess a better way would be simmer, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start working on the scallops once we get this reduced. As you can see, we have increased the heat. We're getting this to a nice little boil here. Keep an eye on it. Keep it stirred. Okay, and we're just trying to reduce it down. I've got my gauge at 6 on my stove top. It always goes from whatever gets this type of look for you right here. And we're going to set a timer and let that roll for about 6 minutes. See if we can reduce the amount of liquid down and hang on to that flavor in there. Okay, once again, this is a creative process. As I'm watching this reduce, I don't think I should have gone with 2 tablespoons of agave. And so, as you always do on the fly, we're going to add another tablespoon right in there. Alright? And we're going to let it continue to reduce. Now this time we're going to begin searing our scallops. And we're doing that right here. Now I've got the scallops set aside. I'm going to have an escape plate out. Alright? We've got the scallops here. Once again, we patted them dry because the worst thing you can have is any moisture when you're searing this. Let's give them one more little pat dry. Make sure there's nothing in there. Alright? So I've been preheating my pan here, my larger frying pan. We're going to add the butter, and we're going to add the olive oil. A little bit of a mixture. I have learned this from another show. Not going to lie to you. And this is to basically combine the two. That way you don't have any issues with the smoke point causing any problems. Now while that's heating, I'm just going to simply, as you can see I have my scallops right here, I'm going to sprinkle some salt lightly on the scallops, only on the one side that we're going to be placing down. Make sure you have your tongs nearby, and you continue to let your reduction continue to reduce there for you. Okay? So you're going to heat this up, and just till you see it start to smoke just a little bit. Right when you see it start to bubble, okay, here we go. Place those down, work around in a clockwise fashion. Outside the in. You're putting the salted side down. I forgot to mention that. Make sure you got enough space there. Well, they snuck a bay scallop in on me. Alright, we're going to set a timer for 1.5 minutes. Mind your temperature here. You want to make sure you don't have it get where the butter starts smoking or the oil starts smoking. Alright, it's been about 1.5 minutes. Okay, starting where you began, begin flipping them over. Okay, we're going to let that go another 1.5 minutes. Once again, creative process, so you adjust as needed. I'm not searing the scallops all the way through because I want them to cook some in the sauce we've made over here. I'm going to adjust and get a little spatula out too. Try to keep them loose on the bottom. You see some you like to have go on both sides, a little more searing, just flip them. You can hear that it's done. The timer. Now I'm going to add the reduction. Right on top. Try to add some light flavor. We are, of course, going to remove the bay leaves. And I'm going to cover this. Alright. And I'm going to let it go for another minute. Alright, the minute has gone by. Scallops should be nice and completed now. Add a little bit extra flavor to the seared. set those aside. I've got plans for this liquid in here. It's not going to go away. Go to waste. Now to this, we're going to add the mushrooms. We're going to turn the heat up to about 7. We're going to add the Swiss chard. And we're going to cover. We're going to come back and check on that in about 2 minutes. Alright, it's been about 2 minutes. We got some good bubbling going on in there. I've set the scallops in the microwave to keep warm. I like the Swiss chard because of the color it gives to this dish. Alright, we're going to turn, move from heat. And we're going to plate this. This will be a dish that you individually plate just because of the nature of it. You got the mushrooms. Let that come dry. Swiss chard there, make a little bed. This is the creative process at work, everybody. Just having fun, thinking about what would look pretty, what would work. People get excited about what you're doing. You should too. It's almost like a work of art when you get done. There you go, everybody. Alright. It's more of a, I wouldn't call it a sauce, it's a beer reduction scallop, seared scallop. My friend Jay's coming over a little bit. He's going to taste test it. And see what he says. And if you don't see this video, it didn't pass his test. If you do, it did. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for watching. Heck yeah, you can cook. Don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe.